the struggle is real. The struggle is real. And so is the triumph. So is the overcoming. So is the ability to stand up and stand strong and make an impact and make a difference. This week on the Rutledge Perspective, I want to talk a little bit about sticking to it and sticking with it. It is July, right? It is hot as heck here in Texas. I don't know what's going on, but this global warming thing is showing up really real. And just got back from a week of travel. You guys saw the radio show from New York that we turned into the podcast this week. You're going to see more of that coming up. Hint, hint. And I started thinking about what was important to give as a reminder this week. Middle of the year, we're in the last 6 months of the year, so we have 6 more months of opportunity. And I started thinking about all of the things that can be on the list to still get done. And I, for one, have a real tendency to say, oh my gosh, I don't have time. There's so much stuff to do. It's just, and the pressure gets really built up. In fact, as I'm recording this podcast this morning, I had to really spend some time dealing with the anxiety of the list because there's so much happening today. And there's actually an appointment that I almost said no because there was so much going on and my nervous system right just got out of control. And I thought, no, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And I am prepared for this opportunity that just came up. And so we're going to work around some other things and just make this happen and just see where it goes, right? And so what it made me think about was a story that my priest mentioned at church a couple of weeks ago. And it was a story about a butterfly, and she told it to us briefly. So I'll give you an even shorter version, which is there was a kid, a young boy with his grandfather, and they were out walking and they came across this cocoon. And the little boy kept looking at the cocoon and he could see that it was really struggling, right? He could tell that there was the butterfly inside and the butterfly was really struggling to get out. And so he kept watching and kept watching. And his grandfather said, no, that is a butterfly cocoon. And, the butterfly is trying to get out of the cocoon. And so the boy stood there and watched and watched and watched and watched the struggle. And finally, he just couldn't take it. He couldn't take it anymore. And so he went up and he cut like a little hole in the cocoon so the butterfly could get out. And so the butterfly emerged, but his wings were really wrinkled and he couldn't really fly and all of these kind of things, right? And the little boy was just devastated because he had tried to help him get out because he was struggling so bad and he wanted him to be able to get out of that cocoon. And his grandfather said, sometimes we have to go through the struggle in order to be strong enough once it's over, right? And I know I'm messing up this metaphor so bad, but you guys get the point. And what that made me think about is this, especially for entrepreneurs, because there's so much up and down. But even if you're in corporate and you're leading an organization and things get crazy like COVID, right? Or you're going through a bankruptcy or layoffs or all those kind of things, when we go through those really hard struggles, it's easy to try to find the shortcut. And if you're a leader, it is really easy to try to just give people the answer, right? That whole thing of, it's just easier for me to do it. Let me just tell you what to do. Just go do this, right? We want to eliminate the struggle. We want to eliminate the pain. Female founders, we are hyper bad at this. We don't want anybody to struggle. We don't want anybody to be unhappy. We don't want anybody to have a hard time getting something done. But there is power that is built. There's strength that is built in that struggle. And if you think about this butterfly in the cocoon, that struggle is what helps the circulation, right? It helps build that muscle and that strength that the butterfly needs to be able to have those amazing, beautiful wings to have it move around the world, right? And be able to light on those flowers and move around. It has to go through that struggle of trying to get out of that cocoon in order to be strong enough to survive once it is out. And so when we run across those struggles, be that an overwhelming calendar, all of these things you still have to do, the uncertainty of some things that come up that you didn't plan for, and you have to figure out how to make it through those, like last week, leaving my charger and all of those kind of things. The struggle is an opportunity to build muscles that somehow have either never been developed or have atrophied for lack of use. The struggle in and of itself, it's not about the struggle. The struggle is about building muscles. The struggle is about learning. The struggle is about preparing ourselves for the next level. And so in this mid-July, where it's hot as heck everywhere, we got tornadoes going, there's just so much stuff happening. We still have some societal craziness that is making all of us insane. Well, many of us insane. There's a lot. There's a lot. And if you happen to be a person of color, if you happen to be a Black woman, it's exponentially crazy right now. And it's very easy to get into that mode of, you know what, this entrepreneur thing, let me just go get a paycheck. This is a great time to go get a job because people are looking for people. Or if you're in a company, right? Whatever. Just tell me what you want. I'm done fighting. Just tell me what you want. It's easy to succumb to the distress. It's easy to just say, you know what? I'm tired. Whatever you want to do. I'm just not going to fight anymore. It's easy to give up the fight. And let me rephrase that. It's not always easy to give up the fight. It is easy to stop struggling and to move out of pain. But even just the acknowledgement and recognition that you can't fight anymore, in and of itself can be a struggle because it feels like a failure. It feels like, why can't I fight anymore? Why can't I have more strength? Why can't I keep going? It is a challenge to keep moving through the things that are difficult, to move through the challenges, to push out of that cocoon, to get to the freedom, right, of movement, to get to the freedom of seeing the world and all of the things that are open and great opportunities for you. But if we don't go through the struggle, we won't be ready to seize those opportunities. If we don't go through the struggle, we won't be ready to respond when we see some of the same things coming up again, right? It's those experiences that give us knowledge and give us wisdom, give us an ability to see forward, to recognize patterns and to respond accordingly so that we may still have an issue, but we won't have that same issue we experienced before. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. And so is the triumph. So is the overcoming. So is the ability to stand up and stand strong and make an impact and make a difference. It is still there. That struggle gives you an ability to relate to someone else who may be 3 or 4 or 5 steps behind you, that's coming up the path that you just traveled. It is a beautiful thing to be able to go through and see through a struggle, to be that butterfly that comes out and is able to spread those amazing wings that they can't even see how amazing they are, but they give so much beauty and depth and awe and wonder to those that see them. The impact they make is absolutely incredible. And so if you are struggling, if you are having challenges this week, this month, this year, I want to say to you a few things. 1, you are not alone, and don't let anybody tell you that you are, because that's just not true. And here at the Rutledge Perspective, we deal in facts. Everybody is going through something. You are not alone. 2, your struggle is valid. Your struggle is real. Your struggle is yours. And don't let anyone negate your own experiences because they don't understand them. Your real village, your real supporters, may not be going through the same struggle you are, but they know you and they support you, and they will at least be able to empathize with what you're going through and be able to serve you in a way that you need. Your struggle is real. 3, you have absolutely everything you need to make it through. I want you to remember my mantra. In this moment, you are enough. In this moment, you have everything you need. It may not feel like it, but that is a true statement. You've got this. You've got this. And this very moment in time is simply a moment. And if we are blessed to move to the next moment, we take that struggle and that learning with us. And then 4, and final. It is absolutely possible to take that struggle and those learnings and turn those into your story and your triumph. What you have gone through and what you have learned and what you have done and what you have made is something that someone else needs to hear. None of us gets through this world alone. None of us gets through any struggle alone. And someone needs you. So understand that what you're going through and what you're dealing with and how you're moving through this time is not just about you. It may feel like it, and you may have to dig deep to just keep going, but just keep going because someone needs you. They need to see you made it so that they know they can. So in this mid-July week, as it's hot as heck places, flooding other places, there's all this madness going on. We're all just trying to make it through another day. Know that you can. And know that someone is watching you to see how they can. And I encourage you to keep it going. I also encourage you to get some help. Talk to somebody, right? Talk to your ride or die. And if that isn't working, go find a professional. It is okay to ask for help. In fact, the new hotline 988 for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 988. Do not hesitate to dial that number, text that number if you are in crisis. It is important. You are important. There is someone who is looking for you. Stay with us. Keep it going. Keep pushing through the struggle, because on the other side of that is the impact you're trying to make and the people you're trying to serve. Thank you for tuning in again to the Rutledge Perspective Podcast. I am so grateful that you are here. And I want you to stay tuned because the new website is up and launched, and I'm getting some more things ready for you. I'm taking my time, much more time than I anticipated, but taking my time to get some things ready to send out to you, some tools and tricks and tips that you'll be able to download and be able to use, and some ways that you can work with me. And I thank you as always for listening, for supporting, for sending feedback. I want to know what you want to talk about because that informs my calendar and the topics that I'm going to talk through. Have a fantastic week. Try to stay cool, stay hydrated, right? Get some rest and keep fighting because we need you here. Take care and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective Podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and/or The Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.